In today's video, we'll be talking about the reasons why every law enforcement leader should spend a day in the evidence department. Let's get started. As a law enforcement leader, you might expect everything to run smoothly in your evidence department. Evidence is tagged, tracked, and securely stored. But the reality is often a far cry from what you imagine. Let's open the door to your agency's evidence room. Inside, there are unsealed evidence boxes, file cabinets exploding with paperwork, and labels peeling off of open evidence bags. Crates on the floor are water damaged. Rodent droppings lead to chewed-through backpacks, and mold creeps up the walls. Fluorescent lights flicker as if fighting for their lives. And the incessant buzzing? A refrigerator on its last leg. Biohazard containers have no information about their contents. Uncharged mobile devices are tossed into plastic bins with no discernible order. Most disturbingly, shelves contain hundreds of untested rape kits. You suddenly realize that every piece of mismanaged evidence is a potential lawsuit waiting to happen. As Joe Latta of IAPE once said, police chiefs don't get fired over the actions of their officers. They get fired over evidence scandals. Is the chaos the fault of the overworked, underfunded evidence management department? No, it's a leadership issue. Everything else seems more important than taking time to consider the needs of the evidence department. Let's look at a list of liabilities your agency's evidence unit may be facing. Number 1. An antiquated evidence management system. A liability time bomb. Most departments still rely on paper and pen systems or an outdated RMS. These manual systems lead to human error. Illegible handwriting means critical information can be misinterpreted or missed altogether. Take, for instance, evidence handling protocols. An officer submits a package with drugs. The handwritten label is unclear, and suddenly, the type of drug becomes a question mark. Was it heroin, fentanyl, or methamphetamine? Without consistent, legible documentation, this becomes a liability in court. Evidence management software changes all of that. It eliminates the problem by digitizing every entry. Information is entered into required fields, ensuring no critical details are overlooked. The software guides officers and evidence specialists to input every required detail: date, time, location, and description, among other things that you preset, all legibly, consistently, and securely. And number 2, packaging protocols, another overlooked liability. Improper packaging can render key evidence unusable in court, leading to disastrous outcomes. Consider drugs, high-risk evidence that demands strict packaging protocols. Without proper airtight, tamper-evident packaging, drugs like methamphetamine, fentanyl, or cannabis are susceptible to contamination, spoilage, or even theft. Our software not only tracks the evidence but integrates packaging protocols into the process, ensuring every piece of high-risk evidence is packaged according to best practices. It generates reminders for proper packaging methods and alerts staff when something is amiss. Number 3, a lack of policies and procedures. An open door for legal trouble. Many evidence departments operate without solid guidelines, relying on the "it's how we've always done it" mentality. The inconsistency in how evidence is logged, handled, stored, and eventually disposed of opens the door to mistakes. Mistakes that can lead to lost evidence, chain of custody issues, and ultimately, failed prosecutions. Contrast this with a department that uses evidence management software, which requires users to follow a structured process, ensuring every piece of evidence follows the same chain of custody protocol. If an item is missing a step in the process, the system flags it. This built-in accountability ensures that procedures are followed, reducing the chance of error and liability. Number 4, audit, inventory, and disposition nightmares. Without proper software, conducting an audit or inventory is a nightmare. Boxes upon boxes of evidence have to be manually sifted through, checked against old logs, and reconciled by a team already stretched thin. It's not uncommon for manual inventories to take weeks, months, or years. And then there's the issue of dispositions. Departments often sit on mountains of unnecessary evidence, taking up valuable space and leading to significant liability and additional storage space. Evidence management software simplifies audits, inventories, and dispositions. With the click of a button, you can generate an audit report, showing you exactly what's in your department, who handled it, and when. The same goes for dispositions. Our EMS system automates reminders when evidence is eligible for disposal and guides staff through the proper steps to handle it. Number 5, RMS and paper systems can't share information. That's a modern nightmare. In today's law enforcement landscape, sharing information across departments is critical. Evidence must move seamlessly from the evidence department to crime labs, forensic specialists, and attorneys. But RMS systems and paper logs are static. There's no real-time information sharing. If a forensic lab needs to access a piece of evidence, they must either make a trip to the department or rely on someone in evidence to provide them with the information. It's slow, inefficient, and prone to error. EMS systems, on the other hand, allow for real-time data sharing. When evidence is processed, it can be accessed by authorized personnel across different departments. Investigation, crime labs, forensic teams, and even attorneys can receive the information they need without delay. Number 6. Access control. Who touched what and when? How often has a piece of evidence been mishandled or gone missing because of unauthorized access? Without access control, it's nearly impossible to know who touched what and when. In a paper-based system, anyone with access to the evidence room can theoretically tamper with or misplace items. This lack of control creates enormous liability, particularly when it comes to high-risk evidence like drugs, firearms, and cash. EMS systems come with built-in access control. Each time a piece of evidence is handled, it is logged automatically, recording who accessed it, for what purpose, and when. The wake-up call is clear. Law enforcement leaders can no longer afford to neglect their evidence management departments. With File on Q, they can move forward with confidence, knowing that they have the right tools in place to protect both their evidence and their agency's reputation. Thank you for watching today's video. To dynamically improve your evidence management practices, reach out to fileonq.com today.